Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to episode 8 of our campaign game with Silent Victory, GMT Games' game of submarine combat in the Pacific Theater in World War II. Now before we head out of Pearl Harbor on our 5th patrol, we have a couple of very big announcements. The first of which I'm happy to announce we have a mascot who will be joining us on our next patrol. Welcome everybody to Phoebe the Battle Cat. Now there's a little bit of a backstory here. Patrick's Tactics and Tutorials, who by the way, if you haven't seen his YouTube channel where he does a lot of historical conflict videos and games and simulations and reviews and things like that, I highly recommend going to check that out. I'll put a link down in the description below because he's got some great stuff going on. He tweeted a picture of his cat, Phoebe, here it is, and he said, Phoebe was absolutely riveted watching our last patrol on YouTube. And I thought that explains where all the views are coming from, for one thing. But then I thought, we don't have a mascot, so maybe Phoebe would like to join us. I checked out with Patrick and he said Phoebe would be delighted to become our mascot aboard the Skipjack. So we are now bringing Phoebe aboard for all patrols going forward. And I figured what could bring us more luck than a cat, especially a black cat. So let's all welcome Phoebe as an official member of our crew. The second thing I'd like to talk a little bit about before we start out is dice. Now I had to look through some of the previous videos just to kind of check of a couple of other things as I was kind of considering to make this one. And one thing that I did notice became apparent is that we've rolled a lot more snake eyes than are statistically likely. Right? Snake eyes should come up once every 36 rolls. And looking through our videos, and I didn't count the number of rolls and how many times it came up and stuff like that, but just looking at this like, wow, there's another snake eyes. There's another snake eyes. There's another snake eyes. There's been a lot of snake eyes. So I said, I wonder actually if something could be a little bit off with our dice. So then I realized, I remember that you could perform a buoyancy test on dice by floating them in like Tupperware with water, with salt and stuff like that so that they float. So I thought, what the heck, let's just run one. So I ran one on the 2 white dice from the game that came with the game. And here's the results. So die A, which is one of the white dice, of the over 100 rolls that I did, 23 ones, 23 twos, 23 threes, only 10 fours, 16 fives, and 14 sixes. That seemed pretty suspicious over 100 rolls. Die B was likewise weighted toward the 1, but not quite as much as die A. Die B had 24 ones and only 15 sixes. The thing is, you might say that's not enough rolls, over 222 rolls. Is that really enough to test it? One thing, though, that I noticed as I was watching this, whenever the die was tilted and it was like on edge, floating in that water, and it could go either towards like a 1 or some other number, it almost always would tilt towards that 1. Likewise with the 2s. The 1s and 2s seemed to be kind of just tilting upwards almost all the time. So watching with my own eyes, after about 200 rolls, I said, yeah, I think there's something here. So given the fact that we've had suspiciously high number of snake eyes in our replays, that the buoyancy test seemed to indicate something going on with the dice, and just watching it with my own eyes, it's like, yeah, there's something funky with these dice. I decided to switch them out. So I got some Chessex black and white dice that we'll be using for the rolls coming up, just to see if it makes a difference. Now, based on the numbers that we rolled in that buoyancy test, you might think, well, that doesn't make any difference, right? Really, what's the difference? Well, the odds that snake eyes are going to come up again in real life are 1 in 36. At the odds that that buoyancy test indicated, if those were consistent, it would be once every 22 rolls, and we would get boxcars, double sixes, only once every 58 rolls. So I think there might be something to it. And just for kicks and giggles, we're going to swap out the dice to see what happens. All that being said, now it's time to jump in. The Skipjack is ready to go from Pearl Harbor. We're going to head out on our 5th patrol. Let's see if we can get some good hunting in this one coming up. Let's get started. As always, let's do a quick summary of our previous patrol in our campaign so far. We've had 4 patrols and we've sunk 8 ships for total damage of slightly over 40,000 tons. If the game were to end right now, we would be in that marginal victory category, trying to get to 70,000 tons to reach the significant or substantial victory category. Now, our patrol now will be April 1943 and May of 1943, leaving out of Pearl Harbor. Our crew so far, again, will be the same. Executive Officer Wallace, Chief Engineer is Wagner, our doctor is Lyle, and our third Executive Officer is Custard, who is at an expert level. Now we've refitted the skipjack with all its torpedoes, and everything should be ready to go. Alrighty, so we've shifted now to a new patrol assignment chart using the one from January of 1943 to June of 1943. So our odds have changed a little bit. It looks like the odds to get back to the Empire, the seas near Japan, would still be high, where our last two patrols have taken us to that same location, although they've been mine-laying missions. Let's see where we end up here. Using our new dice, get a 9. A 9 is going to take us back to the Philippines. Interesting. Okay, so let's get this set up and off we go. Alrighty, so we are heading through our first transit zone here. And again, once again, trying to avoid the snake eyes. It'd be supremely funny if with these new dice we ended up rolling that number, but nope. We get an 8, so we're through the first transit zone with no incident. The second transit zone, likewise, same odds, same roll. Let's see what we get here. A 5. We've cleared that one without incident. Now, heading over here to the Philippines, we'll head to our first patrol zone. This one, interesting. This is the one we started out the game with. So we're looking for like a 7 or a 9 here to get a ship plus an escort. Let's see what we get. Oh, nice. A 7 is a ship plus an escort. So let's... Now this is the first zone here. So let's see what we get for night. And then we're going to attempt to follow regardless of what the target is. So just to save time, we're going to see if it's day or night. On a 1 to 3, it's day. 4 to 6, it's night. It is 5, so we get a nighttime roll right away, which means let's set this up and we're definitely going to go in and attack. So now we need to roll to see what type of a target we've got. On a 1 to 4, it's a small. 5 to 6, it's a large target. Nice, another 5. Good, so now let's roll on our other dice here to see what the name of the ship is and what it is. We'll use the black die as always to determine the chart we're looking on. So a 3 is our middle chart on large freighter. Target roster B, and then we end up with a 95. A 95 is the 7,000-ton freighter Engen Maru. So let's get that one out. This is a large freighter, and this would be 7,000 tons, which means it's got 3 hit points on it. So not a significantly large target. Now let's figure out what we're going to do for an attack. Alrighty, kind of thinking this through here a little bit. We're going to unload both the forward torpedo tubes and the aft torpedo tubes. 8 torpedoes at this target. Definitely would like to get a ship on this patrol, and I think it's worth targeting and being a little bit aggressive here. Now, instead of if we come in on the surface, we could get -1 die roll modifier to our attacks, but I think we're going to come in submerged because that will keep our escort detection by firing. Normally we need an 8. By firing both, we will need a 7 on the first round only. If we were on the surface, we would subtract 1 from our torpedo firing shots, but it would put us at greater risk of detection. So we're going to stay submerged here. Basically, that means that our die rolls, we're going to need a 7 or less to hit straight up, but we'll have a lot of shots on the first roll. In the second round, our aft torpedo tube salvo, it will be a +1 modifier to that, so we will need a 6 or less to hit. So, with that being said, let's start firing away here. We've got 8 shots. We'll start with our forward torpedo tubes at the 7 or less first. Dud roll still is 1 to 3, so 4, 5, or 6 we need on the black die to hit. And fire 1. Oh, bummer. We got a snake eyes, just saying. But it is a dud, unfortunately, 1 to 3. So our first one does not strike for effect. Fire 2. A 10 and a 4. It is not a dud, but it misses. So 0 for 2. Fire 3. A 10 and a 4. 0 for 3 here. Fire 4. Ah, goodness. So these numbers are higher, just saying. All 4 missed or a dud. Ah, that's not fun at all. So hopefully we have better luck with this one. Fire 5. Now we need 6s or less because this is the second salvo torpedo here. So... oh, I made a mistake. Second salvo is only possible as a night surface attack. Alrighty, so I think the only fair way to resolve this would be to say either we don't fire these 4 torpedoes or we were on the surface and firing all 4. And I think I'm going to opt for the, let's say we only fired the 4 here and that we were on the surface. We were submerged when we did that. I think that's a fair way to resolve that. So we'll put those back, which means that we go 0 for 4 on those shots, and now we have to roll for detection. Normally we need an 8 or less. However, because we Oh, but we didn't fire the fortress. Yeah, so we would need an 8 or less then for detection, because we did not fire that second salvo there, and we were not on the surface. So an 8 or less to escape, and then we can follow if we can get out of here. A 6. Okay, so we successfully escaped. All 4 of those were misses, and now our next action will be to try to follow this. So let's attempt now to follow. We've escaped detection. We've reloaded our forward tubes. We need a 1 to 5 to successfully follow. We get a 5. So we've successfully followed. Now we have to roll, because the ship is undamaged, we have to roll to see if it's day or night. So a 1 to 3, it's day. And once again, we've successfully engaged at night. Okay, so let's set this up again. I've got to figure out the attack here. Alrighty, I think we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. We're going to come in submerged, and we're going to fire all 4 torpedoes at medium range. So that means we need a 7 or less to hit. Dud rates of 1 to 3, but it will also leave us with an 8 or less for detection at the end of the round, which I think is a pretty good number to try to get out of this on. So, and since our following odds are pretty good, and we have a lot of torpedoes in the forward tubes, we're going to try the same thing. I mean, I think we'll need 2 hits probably to sink it at a pretty good odds, but we'll see what happens here. Fire 1. A 7 and a 3. So once again, the torpedo that hits is a dud. Fire 2. An 11 and a 1. It both misses and is a dud. Fire 3. 7 and a 4. Finally, we get something that hits. So the Engen Maru takes 1 on the side. Our first successful torpedo after 7 shots. And we still have 1 left. It'd be nice to this one. Our odds of sinking it are pretty unlikely with only 1 hit here. Fire 4. A 9 and a 3. It is both a dud and it misses. So a sole hit so far out of 8 torpedoes on the Engen Maru. Let's see what we get for damage. Now we need a 1 or a 2 would sink it, which would be good because it would put 4 or 3 hits of damage on it. Anything greater than a 2 or 3 and above does not sink it. Let's see if we get lucky. Oh, 6. Only 1 hit of damage. Okay. Engen Maru is proving to be pretty pesky to go down here. Let's see if we can escape detection. Okay, so once again, we need an 8 or less to get out of here. There are no die roll modifiers because it's nighttime. All kinds of stuff is here, forward and aft. Nope, night surface attack. Just an 8 or less to escape. Ooh, by the skin of our teeth, we get an 8 and we are out. So, with the ship damaged now, we can attempt to follow again and it'll be automatically successful. Let me just check a couple of variables and we'll continue on. Alrighty, so because we have damaged the Engen Maru, we can automatically follow it and we can automatically decide to engage at night or day. Furthermore, there's a die roll as with a damaged ship as to whether it remains under escort or whether it is a straggler. That's the part I wanted to look up because it seems to me that the escort would stick around, but the rules are really clear that that's not the case. So in a 1 to 4, it's still under escort. In 5 or 6, the escort has abandoned it for other work, and we would have a straggler to pick off even though there was only 1 ship. Get a 3. That doesn't apply to us now. So our target is still under escort, and we got 1 hit on it. So let's figure out our attack. Alrighty, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come in submerged at night at medium range, firing our 4 Mark 14 torpedoes from the forward tubes. So we need again a 7 or less to hit, and a 1 to 3 is a dud rate. Hoping we can get 2 hits would be automatic sinkage. A 1 would still give us a 50% chance. So hoping we can finish off the Engen Maru here. Fire 1. We get a 4 and a 6. Oh, that's a good start. So it's both a hit and not a dud. So if one of these next 3 torpedoes successfully hits, it'll be the end of the Engen Maru. Fire 2. Oops, Octine misses. Oh, that's a 12. That would be a circular run. That's a miss that was already a 12, and then we got a 4, but yeah, still, that's a miss. So, fire 3. 10 and a 5. Good torpedo. That misses. And our last chance, fire 4. We get a 4 and a 6. Excellent. That's the second hit that we needed. So, let's now it's kind of perfunctory here, but let's roll for damage to see what we get. 2 dice. We need 2 hits, and there's going to be at least that. Get a 1 and a 4, which would be 4 plus 1 is 5 hits. We have finished off the Engen Maru, which is great. That was a determined target there. We didn't have our best shooting, but we finally got that one put away. Now, the bigger roll, we need to see if we can escape detection. Straight up roll here. None of the modifiers apply, so it's just 8 or less to get out of here. Let's see if Engineer Wallace, Executive Officer Wallace, can get us out of here with his maneuvering techniques. 8 or less. Saw the 3 and I thought we were good. A 9. Okay, so we do not escape detection. Let's set up our depth charging. All right, so let's see how many hits we've got here. No die roll modifiers to this because we were not on a night surface attack for the first round only. Not a 12 plus on detection. So it's just the straight up roll here on the left hand side because we're still in April 1943. So we get a 5. A 5 is a single hit. So that's a good start, but you never know what it could be. Let's see what it is. Black die reading first. We get a 54. 54 is flooding times 2, so that's a rather dangerous one. Now, there's nothing else that goes on for hits, so we're going to see if Engineer Wagner can stop the flooding. We need a 1 to 4 to stop the flooding. 6. Oof. That's not very helpful, but that round ends, and we now go to our next round of detection. No other modifiers. We started out at an 8 or less. The modifier that does apply is the previously detected, but no other modifiers outside of that because there's no significant damage except for the flooding. So we need normally an 8 or less, now a 7 or less to escape detection. Let's get out of here. Whew. Lucky 7 gets us free. So we've escaped detection and we have lost our escorts. We have put the Engen Maru to the bottom of the ocean. We can pump out the water that's in the skipjack, and Phoebe and the rest of the crew can continue on with our mission. All right, so that was 12 torpedoes fired in just the first patrol box. We have a lot of patrolling left to do. We've only got 4 torpedoes left in our forward tubes, but I suppose we could come in and just fire our aft tubes if we need be. But let's see what happens here in our second zone. Philippines, we are searching. We get a 4. The Philippines, that is nothing for that one. So let's now go on to our double search box. So 2 searches to make in this box. Let's search again. We get a 6. 6 is nothing. So now we'll make our second search here. Get a 4, which is what we just rolled before. That is nothing. The Philippines proving a little bit quiet. The Philippines do look, just looking at the die roll numbers, it looks like they have quite a bit of empty spots here. I mean, the 7's a pretty likely number, 16% of the time. But that 4, 5, 6, it's pretty empty. The 8's empty. The 11's empty. Okay, let's search another zone. Get a 7. There we go. Ship plus escort. So let's see. I want to see if it's day or night. We're going to try to follow. So we're just going to make those rolls beforehand. 1 to 3, it's a day. 4, 5, or 6, it's night when we've got this encounter. It is a 4, which is night. Okay, so that means we're going to definitely go in because the ship is, our submarine is basically undamaged, and we've got plenty of torpedoes. So it makes sense to attack regardless of the target. Let's set up what our ship is. We'll make our rolls and we'll get going. So the first thing we need to do is to roll to see what size the target is. We get a 3 this time, which is a small target. We'll use the black die again to determine which one of the charts to pull from, and then we'll see what we get here. So small target, we get a 2, which is chart A, and then we get a 39. So small freighter roster A, 39 is the 4,300 ton Jumbo Maru, a small freighter. So let's get a small freighter on the target mat, and it will be 4,300 tons, which will put it at 2 hit points. So altogether, that's a pretty reasonable target for a small target, I think. Now we just need to figure out attacks and see what we're going to do. This time through, we're going to fire our aft torpedo tubes and just the aft torpedo tubes. There's no penalty to just firing the aft torpedo tubes. That will give us an 8 or less chance on escaping detection, and we'll have 4 shots to get 2 points of damage on the thing. In that way, we'll also save 4 torpedoes in our forward tubes and 4 torpedoes in our aft tubes. If, for example, in our next box or our next encounter, we would benefit from firing both salvos. So with this being said, it's the same exact attack that we had last time. We need a 7 or less, and we need on the white dice, and we need a 4 or greater for it not to be a dud on the black die. Let's see if we can get 2 hits and finish it off. Fire 1. We get a miss, and it's a dud. Well, at least we piled them together here. Fire 2. 4 and a 5. Excellent. That's a hit. Perfect. So we get 1 hit and 1 gone. Still 2 torpedoes to go. Let's go, Officer Custard. Get us through another hit here. Fire 3. Yes, a 7 and a 6. A hit and it detonates, which is a guaranteed kill for this. Let's fire 4 just for going through the motions here. A 9 and a 3. That one goes wide. So we get 2 hits on the Junpo Maru, and let's see what we get for damage. We're automatically going to get 2 points worth of damage, though. We got a 1 hit damage, and then the 3 is worth 2 hits. So 3 hits of damage, and we have sunk the small freighter, the Junpo Maru. Excellent. Alrighty, so as previously, we just need an 8 or less. There are no die roll modifiers added on to us here. So an 8 or less to get us out of here. Engineer Wallace, Executive Officer Wallace, guide us through. Ooh, an 8. I think we've had 3 rolls where we've just been right spot on in this patrol. So a little bit of luck for us there to get away. I just want to confirm that I didn't make any mistakes with die roll modifiers. And nope, we're good. We made it. Okay, so we have escape detection. Nice. Let's go now to our last. Let's continue on with our patrol. All right, that's our last. We have 1 box left here in the Philippines. Now we still have 8 torpedoes, 4 in the forward tubes and 4 in the aft tubes. So still looking for more targets here. If we could get some, let's see what we get for our last encounter zone here. We get a 9. Nice. Ship plus escort. So as always, let's check. We're gonna check for day or night, and then we're gonna follow, because if we do lose it, it doesn't make any sense to spend time rolling up the targets here. So 4 to 6 it's night, 1 to 3 it's daytime. Oh, nice. That's 3 consecutive times in this patrol we've had an opportunity to have day or night, and we have gotten night. So that's nice, which means that we should roll up our target here, see what it is, and then let's go in. Now on a 1 to 4 it's a small target. Get a 4 again, so it's a small target. Let's roll to see what we are encountering. So we get a 5, that will be chart C, and it is a 0-4. So small freighter, chart C, 0-4 is Yae Maru at a mere 1,900 tons. So a rather light target. I'm just going to jot that down, then we'll set up our attack. All right, we're going to do the same thing. I was tempted to fire forward and aft, but that would mean that we have to come in on the surface, which would make our detection roll a 6. So kind of like our odds with firing 4 torpedoes while submerged at medium range to give us that 8 or less on escape detection from the escorts. That seems to give us a pretty good odds of getting out of here unscathed. And because our skipjack isn't damaged now, I'd like to see if we could keep it undamaged so that we can shorten our refit and get back out in a quicker time span. Because we've had hull damage on our last 2 patrols, I think, or some of these, and that slows us down. It makes our refit longer. So hoping that we could get this sunk, escape, and then head home without any more damage on the skipjack. But there's a lot to be said before that happens. Let's see what we get. We're firing 4 torpedoes at the small freighter at the Yae Maru. Fire 1. Ooh, an 11 and a 2, both a dud, and it misses. Now 1 hit would still give us a 50% chance to sink this, so I'm hoping we get at least 1. Fire 2. We get a 3 and a 5. Excellent. So we've got 1 miss here, and our second torpedo slams into the side. 3rd Executive Officer Custard is on fire here. Fire 3. A 10 and a 1. A dud, and it misses. Let's get this last hit here. Fire 4. We get a 7. It hits, but it's a 1. It's a dud. So it's all down to this 1 torpedo to see what happens. So let's roll on the damage chart. A 1, 2, or 3 would sink it with 2 damage or more. A 4, 5, or 6 would mean it's only 1 damage and it's still afloat. 6. 1 damage. So the Yae Maru is still afloat, although not by much. Now let's see what happens with escort detection here. Again, we need an 8 or less to get out of here. Oof, 9. Okay, let's set up the depth charge run. All right, let's see what we get for hits. So again, we're on the left chart. No modifiers, just straight up roll. We get a 5 again, which gives us a single hit, just like last time. Okay, so let's see what we get for that. Black die first. 55. 55 is electric motor number 3, but we don't have an electric motor number 3. So once again, the Japanese targeting systems that we don't have. So that gets us out of that run rather innocuously. Let's go to our next escaping detection run. Normally we need an 8 where we started. However, we were previously detected, no other damage, so we need a 7 or less to get out of here. Let's get out of here. Just missed it. 8, okay. So no, that makes it a 9. No other damage. We're just rolling on the left chart. No die roll modifier on this, though. Oh, that's painful. A 10. Ooh, just at the edge of 2 hits there. So, 2 hits on us. Black die first. It's starting to get a little bit nervy here. Get a 44. I think that's the hull, isn't it? No, that's flooding. Okay. So, that's not too bad if that's the only things that we get in this run here and then can get out of here. Second one is a 42. 42 is the radio. Okay. That's not such a big deal unless things go a lot worse than what they are right now. So there's our 2 hits. Now we need to see if we can escape detection again. We're flooded. The radio doesn't matter for anything on this. So once again, we need a 7 or less to get out of here. God! A 9. These new dice that don't roll the 1s and 2s are causing us problems. So 9 plus 1 is a 10. It's still straight up. Rolling again here. Get a 6 plus no modifiers on that, right? So that's a 6 is just 1 hit. Okay, and none of these other things matter. Let's hang in here that it's not something significant. 55, that was flooding, right? Oh, 55 is electric motor number 3. Yay! Alrighty, so we needed to roll on that last one. I'm sorry, we needed to roll on that last round whether there was extra flooding. 1 to 4 we stop it. Let's just clean that up now. A 6. So yes, there was extra flooding, and we have to mark that on the chart. Okay, so that takes care of that. That was our hit. We were lucky there. Now we need to escape detection. We need some luck in escaping detection here now. 7 or less, because nothing else really impacts it yet. Yes! Okay, finally. A 6 or less, we are out of here. Now we still have 4 torpedoes left. Let's follow this ship and see if we can finish it off. Alright, so the Yaemaru is damaged, which means that we can automatically follow, and we can automatically determine whether we want to come in for day or night, which of course means we want to come in at night. We do have the roll on a 1 to 4. The escort has stuck with the Yaemaru, or on a 5 or 6, it's abandoned it to its own fate, which would pretty much make it automatic. We can come in, fire all our torpedoes and our deck guns and finish it off. Hoping for a 5 or 6 here. A 1. No such luck on the escorts. They are determined to stick with the Yaemaru despite its limping status. So let's set up our attack again here. Alrighty. So we've only got 4 torpedoes left once again. I think this is the 3rd patrol where we've fired all 24 torpedoes. Well, some of them, like the last ones, had mines, I guess, so we've only had 16. But all 24 torpedoes fired in this round, which is a pretty significant achievement, I think, in and of itself. So not wasting our ammo. Well, not letting ammo go to waste, for sure. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in submerged, giving us a 7 or less medium range at night. Firing 4 Mark 14 torpedoes. That'll give us an 8 or more on escort detection. 8 or less for escort detection, which is good. We need a 7 or less, and duds are 1 to 3. So 1 hit would finish it off. Fire 1. 6 and a 3. Successful hit, but it is a dud. Fire 2. There it is. 7 and a 6. So the first one misses. Our 7 hits, and it is not a dud. That will be enough to finish it off. Let's just see how Executive Officer Custer did with his last 2 shots. Fire 3, a 5 and a 4, another hit, and another non-dud. Where were these before? Sorry, that was fire 3, fire 4. Oh, goodness, a 4 and a 4. 3 out of 4 hit, and 3 out of 4, all 3 that hit are not duds. We have, with these rolls here for damage, let's see what happens. We get a 3, 3, and a 3. Triple 3s across means 6 hits of damage on the Yaemaru, which literally shatters the ship and sends it to the bottom of the ocean. Our 3rd ship sunk in this patrol. We have no torpedoes left in this last patrol box. However, it's not done yet. As always, we have to escape detection. We were unlucky in this last round here. These escorts seem particularly adept for the Yaemaru. Let's see, we need an 8 or less to get out of here. Hoping for a quick end, an easy end to this patrol. Gah! Another 9. Okay, let's set up the depth charge run. Alrighty, one thing I realized we forgot to do at the end of the last combat round was to see if we actually fixed the radio or not. So we'll do that now. It doesn't impact anything if we do it now. Officer Wagner goes down, Engineer Wagner, trying to repair the radio. We need a 1 or a 2. 6. Ooh, it's definitely broken. So the radio is out of function and inoperable. Now let's see what we get for hits. It's a straight up roll, no modifiers on this one. So we're rolling on the left-hand side of this escort air attack chart. What do we get for hits? Oh, nice! 2 is a complete miss. No damage at all to the skipjack here. Now, however, we're not done yet. We needed an 8 or less to escape detections originally, but now because we previously detected, we need 7 or less to escape detection. Let's get out of here. Yes! 6. Okay. So we're out of here. We have escaped detection. That was our last patrol zone. We need to head back to Pearl Harbor now and see if we can make it through these transit zones. Let's get back to our regional map. Alrighty, so the skipjack heads east from the Philippines, makes the long journey back towards Pearl Harbor. We have 2 transit zones to clear. Once again, we want 3s and above. We get... making me nervous. 3, we get through the first one. And now to the second one, our last box before we are safely home. A 4? We're close. But we have made it back to Pearl. All in all, I think that was a pretty successful patrol. I mean, we fired 24 torpedoes. We had some rough luck starting with the shooting, but then once we got dialed in, we managed to put 3 ships down. So we've got the 7,000-ton Engen Maru, the 4,300-ton Jumpo Maru, a small freighter, and the Engen Maru, a large freighter, and then a small freighter, the Yae Maru, at 1,900 tons, giving us a total on that patrol of 13,200 tons, added to our 40,800 tons from previous patrols, which gives us a grand total so far of 54,000 tons. 5 patrols and 5 successful missions. So we're off to a pretty good start here, although we all know how quickly this can change. So 54,000 tons leaves us, 16,000 tons short of a substantial victory. So still a ways to go on that. I do think I think we've been lucky on the tonnage of the ships that we've gotten, because a lot of these lighter ships, and looking at the target rosters, a lot of them are under 2,000 tons. But we managed to roll a 7,000 on a large target and then a 4,300 on a small target, which seems to be towards the heavier side. And I think we've had some consistent heavy targets that we've been fortunate enough to get on our patrols so far. So that's been, I think, worked in our favor to this, because I think we've got a pretty good sunk total of tonnage, and I think that's more to the luck of those targets that we've picked up than anything else. But 3 ships sunk on a patrol qualifies us for another Bronze Star in terms of medals as well. We did have the Bronze Star before, so what happens is we now get a Bronze Star with a Gold Star attached to it. So that one swaps in and out. This is our 5th combat insignia as well, and that's as high as that one goes. Those look the same, but on the back there's a mark that tells you how many it goes. I think it's like with a silver designation or something like that. And then the skipjack itself, as a submarine, gets its 5th successful patrol, which gives us our 5th battle star. Now, the other nice thing about this patrol is that damage-wise, we have no hull damage, so there's no extra refitting that's required for that. And the only system that was inoperable was our radio, and we get to fix 2 systems for free without extending our refit time. So our patrol was April and May of 1943. Our refit will only take 1 month, which will be June of 1943, which means that we can go back out to patrol in July of 1943. So after having 2 patrols where we've had extended refits because of damage to the skipjack, this is the first one where we've brought the skipjack back relatively intact. So Officer David and Officer Ray, working on the shore here at Pearl Harbor, will be glad to know that it's not going to take much time to get us back out and seaworthy. With that being said, there's nothing else to talk about in terms of crew advancements, because this was our 5th successful patrol. We were passed up again as commander promotion last time. We didn't get that. And if we can have a 6th successful patrol, so in increments of 3, we get to have another advancement of our crew or the generic crew. So if our next patrol is successful, that will happen. Now, coming forward in our July 1943 patrol, the only shift in the kind of the combat world that we're seeing is that Japanese depth charge attacks and air attacks, depth charge attacks become more efficient. So there's greater likelihood that they're going to do damage because we're going to use the right side of that column. So we get to look forward to a little slightly more difficult environment as we go forward into July of 1943. And we'll talk a little bit more about the history behind that, which is kind of interesting in our next episode. And that brings us to the end, though. Successful patrol, 3 ships sunk, 13,200 tons. Phoebe, our Battle Cat mascot, I don't know, this might have been the edge that we've been looking for. Really glad to have Phoebe aboard. She carried us through, and we sunk everything we saw, so glad to have Phoebe on board here. Let's all make sure we give her a big round of applause. We'll see you in our next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in on Submarine Mondays. We'll be back next Monday for our 9th episode and our 6th patrol with the Skipjack. As always, if you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, please consider subscribing. And comments, feedback, ideas, if you see any rules that are a little bit off that we've made errors on, please let us know down below as well. As always, like to improve the play. And thanks again. We'll have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Submarine Monday.